Hi everybody, Barb Owen here. Welcome. Hope you guys are having a good day. It is cold outside here. Okay. Sorry, having a few little minor glitches here. Having a little glitchy thing going on. Anyway. Yeah, having a couple problems here. So just hang with me. We'll get it sorted out. My technical department, who lives in LA, is out of the loop today. He is absorbed in another project, so the technical issues will have to be resolved by yours truly. Hi, Josie from Italy. Thanks, Clausman. Okay, we should be rocking and rolling, right? How's everybody doing? Hi, Carrie. Hi, Denise. Well, I'm glad you're here. So welcome everybody. I see, let's see, Mindy and Rain and Sarah and this blanket hellos to everybody. I'm so glad you're here. It is, after all, Drama-Free Friday. You know that by now, right? Drama-Free Friday. So, Sarah's not bad. I'm good. It's been a busy week. But you know, that's that's just normal. What would we do if it weren't busy? What would we do? We'd be sitting around here going like this, and that's no good. That's no good. All right. So I'm going to show you. That's right, Rain. Rain says no drama here. Hi, Nanette. Well, I'm glad you can be here no matter how long you get to stay. So. Okay, so I'll tell you what, I have a few things to show you, and then we're going to do some creating. So I forgot to show you guys this. Well, it wasn't I forgot. I couldn't show it to you because it was a Christmas gift. So I thought I would show you this. This was, the light's kind of reflecting on it. Here, let me get rid of the top sheet. Maybe that's better, as long as I tip it so that you can see it. This is a calendar I did for several people for Christmas gifts. That's right, Sarah. Sarah says, idle hands are the devil's playground. Yeah. Hey, Jan. So anyway, I did these for Christmas for several people, and so many of you know that my husband is Clausman. He's in the chat as Richard Owen, and he's doing the chat monitoring. And you know that we do a line of Santa Claus figures at Christmas time. So I took those photographs and I turned them into this little calendar. So this is from, as it says, The Boys. These are The Boys by R.L. and Barb Owen. So this is Nick. So there's just, you know, pieces of, none of them, I don't think I did any of them that were the full piece, but they're all bits and pieces, mostly the close-ups of the faces. In some places where I was able to use they gave you a place where you could put in the text, I put in their name. So I just thought I'd show them to you because I was really pleased with how they turned out. Apologies for the glare that comes in every once in a while. Hi, Kathy. Great to see you. This was one of my favorite guys, the cowboy who was riding a rocking horse. So I just thought I'd show them to you because most of you saw the actual pieces, the actual Santas, or a lot of you did. But I just thought I'd show you what I did with the photographs. This guy was he was a really tall guy. Hey, Victor. You can't be here for a long time? Well, we're glad to have you anytime you can be here. I'm glad everybody's here. That is Xavier. The photographs are shiny, so I'm trying to tip it so that the light doesn't reflect on them too much. Hi, Meg. Nice to see you. Great to have everybody here. This was one of the little bitty guys. He was a really tiny little guy. Thanks, Victor. That's Mathis. He is a really tall one. The one before that was a really little one. Thanks, Rain. Rain says she likes the calendar. They're so highly reflective, I'm having to really tip it to keep the you can see how the light's trying to really reflect on the calendar pages, the photographs. It's kind of pathetic camera work I got going on here at the moment, but it's the best way I have to show you this particular thing. That guy's name is Julian. And then 4 guys. Let's see if I can get the light off of it. There. So there's 4. So there's Arvin, Mikulis. Those are the top 2 guys. Then Sandy, that was the dog that was on the golden retriever pup down here. She was at the foot of one of the pieces, and then Quinlan is the other guy. I can hold it still. Camera won't do that in and out thing. So anyway, I just thought I would show it to you so you could see another way that we use our pieces throughout the year. So I did those in secret for Clausman and Raceman, who are my son and my husband. And so I did those for Christmas, and I actually surprised everybody. So, when you surprise everybody, that's pretty cool. Cheers, everybody. I'm having tea today. Let's see, what else do I want to show you? Oh, I want to show you this book. I was involved in a workshop over last weekend. And, hi, Josie. Seems like we have 2 Josies here today. Card Chick Josie and Josie from Italy. So that's great. Hi, Pam. If I miss saying hello to anybody, please know that I'm appreciative, so appreciative of you being here, and I welcome you. And as you can tell, this is being recorded, or this is a live stream and a live chat. So that's why I'm interacting with people. Hi, Zandra. So anyway, this was a workshop that I did. It's a pretty big book, but it's an origami book, and I just thought I would show it to you. So I'm going to get out of the pictures so you can really see the whole thing. And pardon my cruddy mat that won't come clean anymore. Anyway, it's an origami book. So I just thought I would show it to you because it's pretty cool. I will be translating this into a class on how to get creative. So this was the workshop that I did, and then I'll be changing it and resizing it and so forth and so on. This was not a paid workshop. This was just a bunch of friends getting together from one of the groups I belong to. Anyway, I wanted to show you how it worked because it is pretty fun. Okay, you ready? So it's got 4 sections here, and the prototype is just made out of gift wrap. Okay, so the little box opens up. So that section becomes a box. And there's 4 of those. Okay? There's 4 of those. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show them to you, and then I'm going to put them back. And then under that one is another box. Okay? or storage compartment, or whatever you want to call it. I'm calling it a box. Yep. Okay. And then under this one, there is a box. It opens the opposite of the one ahead of it. Okay, like that. Yeah, Card Chick, this is where I'm streaming now on YouTube. So I will be here on Fridays at 2 p.m. Eastern, just like our other stream place. We streamed on Ustream for a long time, but now I'm streaming here. And then that opens up, and there's another box. This is a long box. Let's see, did I miss one? I missed one, sorry. So those little boxes pull up, and that opens a box. Okay, so these little ones pull up and open that box. And then that opens and becomes another box. Hi, Lynn. Just like that. And then on the other side, it's the similar kind of thing. So these open to become the same kind of boxes on the other side. The twisty boxes open up. Okay, so the twisty boxes open, and then they open, instead of opening up or down, they open to the side, and they open a box. So there's another one that opens to the side. Do you guys think this is cool? I think it's really fun. And then that opens and becomes, those pull up and become another box. I just think this is the coolest thing ever, I gotta tell you. Then that pulls up and opens another box. And then beneath that, both sides open up like this and opens up a great big box. I mean, this is a big compartment. Aren't those cool? And then when it folds down and folds up, and that's that. I just love this. I love this. So, as I said, this was the prototype from the workshop where we were playing with it. It's a nice size. This particular one is about 9.5 by about 5.5, and then it has a spine that's not quite a half an inch. But anyway, they're used for putting threads and little pieces of fabric and all different kinds of stuff that you can store in the various containers. Isn't that cool? I love it. So yeah, so as I said, this one is done, it's all crinkly because it's wrapping paper, but I'll be doing this again and doing it in some handmade paper, which I think will be they're really cool. And then maybe even translating it into fabric, I don't know. We'll see. Well, anyway, that was pretty fun. And then I received this in the mail, you guys. And this is gonna catch all the cameras and all that stuff because it has glass on it. It really is creative, isn't it? And this was the card that came with it. Yesterday when this arrived in the mail, I'm gonna let you see the whole thing. When this arrived in the mail, we were just leaving yesterday to go have tea, and I happened to look outside, and as we were backing out of the driveway, and here's this big box on the porch, and I'm like, wait, don't go anywhere. And so I had to go see what it was. And I saw the return address, and I didn't recognize the return address. I'm like, but my name was on the package, and I'm like, okay. And so anyway, this is from Metwife Teresa. Those of you might know her as Metwife, but her name is Teresa. And her sister Peggy sent this to me. And this beautiful card that they made with a lovely message inside. Handmade card. It's gorgeous. But look at this. Isn't this pretty? It's burlap framed. It's just gorgeous. And it has my last name, the Owens. And sorry, I have something falling off the wall. Distracted me temporarily. I have this stuff that holds up, that sticky stuff, that I put on the backs of canvas boards, and I stick it to the wall so it won't, I have to bang, dig holes in the wall or bang nails into the wall and that kind of stuff. And this one that's right across from my eye line just all of a sudden fell off the wall. It's like, rats. Okay, anyway, back to this. Isn't this beautiful? Now, I don't know how she did it, and I don't know if she's even in the audience, but if she is, I just wanted her to know. She told me that I didn't have to show it on stream or anything. I'm like, are you kidding me? Of course I'm going to show it on stream. But it is, it's cut out of something. And if she were here, I'm sure she'd tell us how it was done. I don't know if it's cut on a silhouette. I have no idea. No idea. But it is absolutely beautiful. The size looks to me like it's about 12 by 12. We'll see. It's almost 12 by 12. And yeah, it's really lovely. Came through the mail perfectly. No breakage, no nothing. And it's red, and it's beautiful because I love red. Hi, Janice. Yeah. Hi, Eileen. I was going to talk about you in a minute. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here to listen to me talk about you. Anyway, is that not the sweetest thing to get? It was such a surprise. I had no idea. And what I did to deserve this, I'm not sure. I sent her a couple of Santa ornaments. I don't know. Anyway, one for her and one for her sister, and that was just so very sweet. So, Teresa, thank you so much. I really appreciate that, and I love it. And it's red, and I love it. Okay. So if you have any questions for me or anything that you want me to answer or something you want me to know, be sure you put it in all caps. That is perfectly fine. And that will catch my attention as the chat is scrolling. That's what catches my attention. So, all right. So what I wanted to do is, I'm glad Eileen's here. She's Eileen McInnes in the chat. I wanted to give her credit because what I'm going to do today is inspired by her. She made me remember something that I had done a long time ago when I was watching one of her videos. She has a YouTube channel, and it is it's really an outstanding. I mean, there are so many outstanding YouTube channels, let me tell you. But Eileen's channel is one of those that I just never miss. There are several channels that I never miss. I never miss Shannon Green's channel when she puts up a video. I very, very rarely miss one by Cat Hand. I very rarely miss anything that Cece puts up, Creations by Cece. I mean, I have like 99 subscriptions on YouTube. And so I could go through that whole list because there are so many outstanding YouTube channels. But anyway, Eileen made me think of this technique that we're going to play with today. So I'll talk about that in a minute. And one of her videos that I wanted, this doesn't have anything to do with what I'm doing today, but I wanted to call your attention to it. And the name of it was, I looked it up before I came on today, is Around the World Inspirations, African Sculptures. So it's Around the World Inspirations, African Sculptures. If you guys have not seen that, please go watch that. Go bookmark it so you can go see it. It was on not too long ago. She makes this most incredible elephant out of cardboard. I think it's actually corrugate. It's made out of corrugated cardboard and like paper mache. Like, you've got to be joking. You've got to be kidding me. I watched that and I'm thinking, first of all, how in the world did she come up with this idea? And second of all, how did she, I don't know. I bow to Eileen in her ability to transform something like that. It's incredible. So you guys need to go see that. Anyway, that's not what we're talking about today. And she did another video also that was a rooster. And I tweeted that out, shared that a few weeks ago. If you guys have not seen that, you need to go watch that too. I mean, she does some incredible stuff, but those two really, of course, I love animals. So those two just really, just popped out at me. So anyway, hi, Dawn. Yeah. So the book, Victor, is all done. It's all folded. It starts with squares or rectangles, and it's all folded to create that cool book. So yeah, it's an origami thing. So it's all a bunch of pieces. Her YouTube channel is just, you can just look up her name. It's Eileen, which is ILENE, and McInnes, MCINNES. So search her on YouTube and you'll find her. Okay, so what Dawn made me think of, I just saw Dawn's name in the chat. What Eileen made me think of was using pastel chalks and using it in a way that I'd forgotten about. I did this a while back. I meant to pull out the book where I had done this, and I forgot to pull it out of my my archives. But I did this book where I used stencils, and I used pastel chalks, and I used the chalks through the stencils and so forth. Well, Eileen, in one of her videos, was painting using the chalks, and I thought, oh yeah, I'm gonna do that because I haven't done that with in that particular way. So I thought, yeah, that'd be kind of fun to play around with. So I'm going to show you what we're going to do, and then we'll actually do it. So here is one of these are cards. Okay, so they're greeting cards. Victor, I'll probably actually do that book as a class. Yeah, so it's probably going to be a class on the HowToGetCreative.com website in the membership area. So that's probably where it's going to be. So this is the card, one of the cards, and the basis on this, the underlying thing is a pen and ink drawing, which I'm going to show you where these cards come from. Then I use the chalks, so I'm going to tell you how I'm going to do it, and then we're going to do it. So then I used the chalks to add the color, and then I added silks on top of that. So there's that one, and then here's the other one. Now I think this one was maybe supposed to be this way, but I don't like it that way, so I like it this way. So it's my card. I can be the boss of my card. I can do it the way I want, right? And so again, greeting card. So where these come from, where did I get them? I got them at the post office. And this is how they come. I saw these when I was mailing a package the other day, and I thought, I am so gonna do those on stream. So again, this I think is the way maybe it was intended to be, but I don't care for it so much. So I probably will do them like this. I think it's more pleasing to my way of looking at it. Anyway, these come from the post office. So there was a package of 5 of these, or 10, sorry, there were 10, but there were 5 images of this design, and then there were 5 images. I am the boss of my card. Hey, Judy. And so there were 5 of those. They come with the stamps and the envelopes. So I picked them up at the post office. They were on the rack. They're one of those things that they're trying to get you to. Okay. So if we have any problems, just hang on, because everything will be back up and running. Okay. So this is the package that came from the post office. $15.95 is what they cost. Like I said, that included the stamps and the images. Okay, I'm just watching my computer here for a minute. Can you guys see me okay? Just too many things going on here at the moment. Not sure that we're just looking. Okay, let me know if you guys can see me, would you? Xandra says yes. Okay, all right, we're good then. So this is what it says on the back of the package: assorted note card set, and it comes with the stamps, like I said, and so forth. So anyway, that's what it looks like. It was $16 for that, but I thought, you know, for cards, 10 cards with the stamps, that wasn't too bad. So, you know, I was ready to rock and roll that. So what we're going to do, and what I did, is I took one of the images. I'm just grabbing one here. So we'll start with the rose. And it's nice because they're pen and ink, which is cool. And then what I have is just a set of inexpensive pastel chalks. Okay? Inexpensive pastel chalks. These came from the craft store. They're soft pastels, 24 basic colors. And any pastel chalk stick type thing is going to work fine. Okay? Hi, Dawn. Welcome. Got two Dawns here today. We got great folks joining us today. Appreciate everybody joining in. So I'm going to use these chalks. I'm going to leave them in the container because honestly, I don't like to get my hands messy with chalk. And it's one of the few things that I just truly don't like, but I really don't. And then I'm going to use a water pen or a water brush. So it's just plain water in it. And then you need a, I found that using either a tissue or a paper towel works. So I have a tissue. I also have some paper towels. So we'll see what I need, because who knows. And so I'm going to use my paper towel, and I'm going to get the water flowing in my little brush. This happens to be a Pentel water brush, but there are all kinds of water brushes out there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint this one in shades of pink. So I'm going to get this up here where you can see. So I'm going to start out with this darkest pink just because I think it's pretty. And I'm going to pick up, it takes a minute to get the brush loaded, and that pastel chalk will just pull right up on your water brush. Now you don't have to have a water brush to do this. You could have, you know, a regular brush with, you know, a little container of water. You could do that as well. So I'm going to turn this a little bit. And then I'm just going to put this color in the deepest parts of the petals. So I really appreciate Eileen kind of jogging my brain about using pastels in a different way. So I'm going to use this darker pink in the where there's the most black ink lines in the petals. And I'm not being super careful, okay? I know, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Now, they're not going to be permanent. And you can do the same thing using stencils, because I have done that. So you can use the same technique using stencils and sponges. And, you know, use your sponge and just get it. That's why they're kind of messy, because that's what I've done with them. Use a damp sponge and then sponge through your stencils, and that works nicely too. Now they're not permanent, you have to fix them, but it's a completely, what you get doing this that you don't get using the chalks in the traditional way is, pastels are, this sounds silly, but they're chalky, which means that they are dusty. And so they make dust everywhere. And if you have allergy issues or if you have any kind of breathing troubles, that can be problematic. And so this avoids using that particular attribute of pastel. So you don't get your fingers messy, for one thing. So, and you don't get the dust happening either. So just adding this darkest pink, and I worked with some of the more expensive chalk pastels that I have called New Pastels, and I did not try them with crayons. I have those as well, but I don't know about the crayons. I don't, because that's more of an oil pastel, so I'm not certain that they would work using this technique with that, because that's more of an oil pastel. But it certainly would work with the New Pastels, because they are chalky and dusty, so it's more, they're just not as dusty as this kind of little pastel. So I'm just adding the color, and these cards are just cardstock. They're nothing fabulous, okay, as far as like they're not watercolor paper, in other words. They're just cardstock. So they are not going to be happy if you put too much water. So be sure you control the water. If you do something like this, control the water so you don't put too much down here. But I'm just putting it every place where the darkest part of the ink is. And it's really fun when you do something like this, because a lot of the work's already done for you, but you can still make it your own. Yes, you do have to seal it with a fixative, and I'm going to do that. There are several different fixatives out there that you can use. I'm going to be using, today, I'm going to be using the SpectraFix, which is a non-aerosol, so I'll be using that one. I do also have an aerosol, which is the Krylon Workable Fixative, and it works great too. It's just that it smells terribly. There are some smells that I'm really sensitive to. Krylon Workable Fixative is one of those. I just can't stand it. And so you got to make sure that you take that puppy outside, and I do use it. I use it a lot on my cloth doll faces and so forth. You got to take it outside, make sure you spray it outdoors, and it's going to stink for a little while, even after you've sprayed it, if you use one of the aerosols. Now, I have not tried every aerosol fixative that there is. They may not all be that way, but the Krylon is real stinky, so you got to make sure you use it outside. It does stink when you bring it back into your space, and so for a little while you're just gonna, I do that when I am gonna take a break. I go out of my house, I spray it, I bring it back, I put it someplace, and then I just leave it and walk out of the studio for a while, because it's like, ugh, gotta let that air out. Okay. So to clean out your water brush, you can just squeeze it with a little bit of water and just go until there's no more color coming off. And then I'm going to go to the lighter, let's go to a different color so that you can really tell the difference. I was going to use lighter pink, but let's use this. Trying to figure out where to put this so you can see what I'm doing. Maybe we can do it this way. Okay, so what I'm going to use now, instead of going to the lighter pink, that's not going to work either. Okay, let me slide this under here just a little bit. Okay, maybe we got it now. I'm going to use this kind of orangey color. Okay, so I'm going to use kind of this orangey color, and I'm going to put it in the areas where I don't have the other color. Okay, and I'm using a really light pressure. I'm not squeezing. I'm also not squeezing the barrel of the water brush. This particular one is real easy to, it feeds the water very easily down that tube, the feed tube or whatever it's called. And it works great. So you don't have to squeeze it. In fact, if you do, you're going to flood the paper, and that's bad news because this is not watercolor paper. This is cardstock. So I'm just kind of blending this with the pink. Can you see how that's blending in? Hey CB, nice to see you. So if you just blend over it a little bit, again, I'm not squeezing the barrel of the pen. I'm just letting the gravity, or however this pen works, I'm just letting it do the work. And then I'm just putting in the color. Wherever I don't have the pink, light touch, and just kind of blending the colors together. Now you'll notice that my hand is up off the surface. I'm not resting on that pastel, and the reason I'm not is because I don't want to move that pastel around, which once it becomes dry and that the water dries out of the pastel, then it's going to start rubbing off. So I'm trying not to do that. These are just plain old cheap pastels. These are just plain old cheap soft pastels. I shouldn't say cheap. Affordable, inexpensive. How's that? Now you could do this with your ink tints as well, but I'm using as little water as I possibly can. So it takes a few minutes to put the color in, but it's fun. And of course, as you move forward, you could change to a different pastel, to add the illusion of sunlight or light hitting and changing. And an old rose like this, or any rose, is not going to be one exact color. It's going to have multiple colors. So I'm just kind of, and it gets a little streaky and a little cool. These are from the post office, CB. These are vintage cards. They're called Vintage Rose and Vintage Tulip, and they're from the post office. And you buy them. They're just inked drawings like this. There's a tulip and a rose image, and they're just inked vintage image. They come as cards with envelopes, and then you also get the stamps with it. So, it's just something I saw at the post office and thought, that'll be fun to play with. And the funny part is, I've seen these at the post office for I don't know how long, and every time I've looked at them, I thought, oh, those are cool. I should do something with those. And the other day, I finally did. But you could do the same thing in a color book, or, a design that you drew, or, whatever you liked, you could do that. And if you want to add more color in here, make the rose even more interesting, you could add orange, you could add yellow. Maybe we'll throw in some yellow here in a minute. So I'm just kind of playing with the different colors. I'm not really thinking a whole lot about what I'm doing. I'm just kind of going for it. Let's throw in a little bit of yellow. And you can tell that I'm not cleaning the brush between. I'm just letting some of that color pick up and transfer from one pastel stick to the next. I have some handmade pastels that Vicky, Larkspur Vicky, or Vicky Barton, maybe you guys will know her as Vicky Barton here. She brought me when she and her husband came to visit several years ago. And I got those out because I thought, oh, I think I'll do that with those. And I'm here to tell you, I just can't make myself do that. I can't make myself use them. Just can't. Okay, so are we still good to go, everybody? The picture okay for you guys? Just looking. Looks like it is. Okay. Just checking. Clausman's watching, so he has the power to come up here and say, "No, you don't look so hot. You're not looking good." As long as I don't hear Clausman coming up to the studio, I'm good to go, right? Guess what Clausman did yesterday? He recorded a class for how to get creative. So it's not just me putting classes on how to get creative now. We got Clausman into the act. Clausman is my other half, in case you didn't know. Yeah, so he's getting familiar with the whole camera recording business, doing classes. I've got plans for him to do some more classes too, which will be kind of fun. He might not think it's as much fun as I do. I get to sit on the other side of the camera and be director instead of the person doing the stuff. Okay, so it's pretty cool how it's coming along. I'm going to put a little bit of this bright yellow right in the middle of this just to kind of spark it up a little bit. And it's helpful if you look in the monitor when you do this kind of stuff. It's helpful to be able to look in the computer and see what it looks like from a distance. It gives you a real sense of perspective. So it's pretty cool how that works. Okay, so we've got this all colored. Hi, Kyla. So the next thing we're going to do is, I'm going to look here a second. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the greens, and I'm just going to turn my palette of chalk around a little bit. And my greens are up here kind of at the top, so I'm going to use those two greens. Let's turn them this way so you can see them a little bit. And I'm going to pick up the darkest of the two greens, and I'm going to put that again where the darker ink is, like so. And same thing down here. So this leaf is flipped up, so I'm going to put the darker green in that area where the leaf is flipped up, or the part that's behind, actually, is what I meant to say. The part that's actually bending and turned up, we'll use a lighter green, but I'm going to put a little bit of this dark green along the part where it's bent. And I'm going to use a little bit of the green, the dark green, and I'm going to put it along the side of the stem that has the darker ink lines. And then I'm going to switch to the lighter green, and I'm going to fill that in every place where the dark green isn't. So you guys think this is cool? I think it's just too much fun. Now, if I get outside the lines a little bit, I'm not going to worry about it. I bet everybody's going to rush out and get a, if you don't have them, I bet you're going to go get yourself a box of inexpensive chalk pastels and a water brush, or you can use just a regular brush with water. You just got to make sure that you don't get too much water going. Okay, so we got some green filled in. So I'm going to, again, squeeze some water through my brush until I don't have any more of the color coming off. And then I'm going to call that good for this one. The post office might see an increase in sales, that's right. Okay, so I'm going to just set these to the side. And I'm going to hit this with a little bit of heat just to dry any water that's in there. So I'm going to put some heat on it. Now, I will tell you that these cards do kind of start, turning, curling and turning. And so when I'm finished with them, I'll just weight them and put them under, some books and, see if I can smash them back into submission. But, whether they do or not, I'm okay with that. Okay, to fix the chalk, I'm going to use the SpectraFix Pastel Fixative. And I'm going to spray over it. Now this is a non-aerosol, and so it is safe to use inside. And so I just sprayed that, and then I'm going to give it a shot of heat. First of all, I'm going to wipe the excess up off the mat. There's no point in having a bunch of stuff that I'm trying to dry besides the card. Okay, so you can see how much this is trying to curl up, and you just have to, like I said, this is not watercolor paper, so it is not meant to do what I'm doing with it, and I'm okay with that. Who said that you got to use your supplies the way they were meant to be used, or whatever? Okay, so what I have now is I have silks, and these are acrylic glazes. And I bought a bunch of these, I don't know, a year or so ago, and then almost lost them because I let them, I didn't use them. And so that was bad because they got so thick and so gunky that I thought I'd lost them completely. But instead, I resurrected them because I caught them in time. And so I used distilled water and put distilled water in the little pots and then stirred it with a stir stick and brought them back to life. Just in the nick of time. Just in the nick of time. So I'm going to use a pink and a yellow, and I'm going to use a brush, just a little angled brush, and I'm going to put some of the pastel, sorry, I'm looking at one thing and trying to say another. Never works. I'm going to stir them up, and I'm going to put some of the silks on my palette. Well, as long as they're not rock hard, Kylie, you should be able to bring them back to life. Because these were really thick. I mean, they were really thick. So I'm going to put some of the silk on the palette. The reason for using distilled water is that the distilled water is dead. It's dead water, and it doesn't have any stuff in it. So because it doesn't have any stuff in it, it won't, grow things. So I'm using a yellow, and so I'm just going to put some of that out here as well. Now, I don't want to get too much out because it's not going to take a whole lot to do this. But I decided that I need to start using these, and so this was a perfect excuse to use them. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go get some water because I forgot to get that, so I'll be back in just a moment, okay? Be right back. Okay, so I have a little bit of water in a container right here. And the reason for the water is so that I can thin the glaze just a little bit because I don't need it very thick. So I'm going to dampen the brush in the water and then dab it off on my paper towel. So I've dampened it off. So I got the water and I just dampened it off. And then I'm going to just start out, and I may actually not dab it off quite so much. I'm going to start with, doesn't really matter, I use the yellow. And I'm going to put the yellow in the places where the yellow pastel was. And the brush that I'm using is an angled brush, which is not essential to the technique. It's just what I kind of like. And so I'm using the longer section of the brush to kind of dab that silk acrylic glaze on top of the pastel. So the pastel has already been fixed using the SpectraFix or whatever kind of fixative you want to use. And this, once I've covered all the bits and pieces of the pastel with the silk glazes, it's not coming off anymore. Now, if you leave any of the pastel unexposed, and you really got rough rubbing it with your finger or whatever, you might, dislodge some of it. But for the most part, you're good to go. And it's going to kind of help seal the rest of that right in place. So I'm just putting the yellow over the yellow parts. And so because the glazes are kind of shimmery, you have to really twist and turn the card in the light to see it, but you get a real shimmer from the acrylic glaze. So it just kind of adds a little bit more of a sparkle. And also make sure that that pastel isn't going anywhere. Because I really don't like pastel coming off on me. Some people don't mind it, I know, but I really don't want it coming off. Okay, so I've got pretty much all the yellow, I think. Hi, Ashley. And then I'm going to wash out the brush, and then I'm going to pick up the pink, because it was the closest color that I had to the pink pastel. And I'm going to put that over the pink parts. And if I need to, which I probably will, so it doesn't look all stripy, I'll come back here, I'll do a section of petals, kind of, you know, here and there. I'll put this, try to take like a section of the petals that I'll put the glaze on, wipe off the brush, and then I'll kind of blend between those two colors. Just kind of dab back and forth between the two colors, and what that's going to do is kind of get rid of that stripy look. And then go back to the pink and go, you know, like the next few petals. And if you go back over a petal that you've already done, that's fine too. So you could do this same thing with other materials. If you had Jacquard Lumiere paints, you could do the same, something similar. You just, the beauty of the glazes is that they're so light that you're not going to have to worry about them obscuring the paint or the pastel below. So you want to make sure that if you're using some other kind of paint that's not a glaze, you might want to actually put some glazing medium or glazing liquid with it. But again, I'm adding another layer of color and then blending on top of those pastels so that I get rid of any chance of that chalkiness, chalk dust, whatever you want to call it. I call it chalk dust, coming off. Because if you go to all the trouble to color this card, you want it to keep its color, right? So every so often I'll stop and then come in and just kind of lightly blend over, just to make sure that I've got those colors kind of blending together. Thanks, Ashley. I know, they are good colors, aren't they, Eileen? They are good colors. And sometimes I get a little outside the line, so if that happens, then I go outside the line a little bit more so that it doesn't look like, oh, she made a mistake. It's like, oh, she did that on purpose, right? Yes. Everybody nod your head in agreement. Yes, she did that on purpose. She meant to do that. Now, I'm avoiding as much as possible my green stem down here because I'm going to switch to some green silks. Once I get down here. But this also kind of tends to, by adding the silks on it, well, let me say it differently. The chalk pastel tends to kind of obscure the black lines a little bit, which is fine. But this kind of brings back some of the clarity of the black line. I'm not sure how it does that, but hey. Whatever it takes. However it works, we're good. So, have you guys had a good week? We got some snow this week. First snow we have had. It has just been beastly cold, I will tell you that. No walking for Miss Muppet this week. She's good with that. She wants to go outside, do her thing, and get right back in the house. She has a couch. She likes to lay on her couch. She's gotten lazy in her old age, which she's only like 5 or 6. I can't remember how old she is. So I'm just basically painting with the longer edge of this brush. It is cold. It's been cold where you are, Rain? Super cold. They had just enough snow. It kind of shut things down here a little bit. Okay, then to see if you got it all, you need to tip it up in the light. So I'm going to see if I can catch the light here, which you guys probably won't be able to see, but I'm trying to catch it in the light. Which I think I got it all. I got most of it if I didn't get it all. Okay, so now the glaze, the silk glaze is going to start setting up on me. So before I lose it, I'm going to pick up a journal and I'm going to put it in the journal so that I don't waste it. So I have a journal here. And I'm just going to add it to this page right here. So these are some screen printed dragonflies that I did. And I'm going to pick up a bigger brush. The great thing about glazes, the silks glazes too, is that you can layer them on top of each other and they will maintain their color, which is cool. So I'm just adding all that extra glaze so I don't lose it. Do the same thing with the yellow. So I'm going to just pick up all that yellow. And I'm just layering it on top of what's here. So you can get some really beautiful color combinations with the glazes as you layer them up. And then that becomes a really cool background, you know, potential for finishing an art journal page. Okay, so bring back the palette so you can see I've used up all that. And then I'm going to use the 2 greens that I have. I don't have very many colors of the silks, but I usually, you know, will pick 2 colors and use them together as I do this just because I like variety. So I'm going to stir the glaze again, and the reason I'm stirring it for me is I added the water, and so I want to make sure that I've just given it. It seems to be staying combined pretty well, but just to make sure, so I'm going to add a little bit of insurance policy by putting a little bit of stirring into the mix. So it doesn't take much. And so I'm going to do the same thing with this yummy color. So I'm just using a little bit because there's very little green on this, so don't need much. Do the silks have to cure overnight? I don't know. Maybe somebody else knows. Doesn't seem like they would have to cure overnight, but I'm not sure about that, Kyla, really. Maybe somebody in the chat knows the answer better than I do. Okay, so I'm going to move this up out of the way, and then I'm going to switch to a little smaller brush because I'm in a smaller area. So I'm going to go to a smaller angled brush and again get it wet, and I'm going to go back to the darker green, and that's too wet. A little bit of water is good, a lot of water not so good. And then what I'm going to do is put this darker green color in the areas where the darkest pastel was. And you can see that it totally changes. Maybe you can see, but it does. Totally changes the color of the pastel. So it's just glazing over it another color. So you kind of have to figure out where it is. You can put your hands, your fingers to hold the card, because it is trying to flip and turn on me a little bit. And then I'm going to pick up the lighter green, and it's going to go any place where the darker green didn't go. But it's really nice what these do. I'm so glad that I caught them in time before they had completely dried out. It's one of those sad things that, you know, it's like, I don't want to use that supply because I don't know what I want to do with it. And then the next thing you know, you've waited too long and you don't have it anymore because it dried up. You know, it's like, I'm so glad that didn't happen. Okay. So I have that, the greens done. So I'm going to show it to you up close here. Take a look at it. So you can see the color. And it really changes that green. And I'm going to let you see the red one that I did earlier. So there's the red one, red and pink. And then there is the yellow. Okay. So that's that. Okay. So we're going to come back to our little image here. And for the moment, I'm not going to put away my, I'm not going to use up my green silks. I'm going to use them again here in a minute. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use the heat gun and just make sure that these are dry. Thanks. Thank you, guys. So it doesn't take very long for them to dry because the silks don't, you know, I didn't use a whole lot of water. One of the things you don't want to do with this is don't use a ton of water. And you can see that the card, I think you can see the card's really wanting the curl on me. So they're gonna spend some time under some heavy books or under my book press. And I may give it a real light spritz of water on this side. Put in a piece of wax paper or parchment in here and before I weight them so that I can get them to straighten up a little bit. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some splatters because I like them. because I like them. So what I did is I just laid a piece of printer paper over the top of this shape and just traced the shape through it. And then I cut out that shape just like so, because I don't really want to splatter all of the flour. If I get some of it, it's not a big deal, but I don't want to splatter all of it. Okay? Hi, Marion. Nice to see you. And then the brush that I like to splatter with, I like to use a fan brush. And so what I'm going to do is, let me see if I can get this where you can see. I've got my camera down pretty close to the surface so you could see the detail, which makes it challenging to get everything in the shot for you. So what I'm going to do now is take my fan brush and I'm going to wet some of the silk, liquefy it. Okay, like so. And then I'm going to use my finger like so, and I'm going to splat. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to move this over, and I'm just going to splat. Okay, then I'm going to lift this whole thing up, and I'm going to use a paper towel and clean up the splatters. And I'm going to turn it around, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. But I'm holding that mask in place. Okay, lift it up, clean up your mess. Otherwise it gets all over the back of the card, which it's not a huge big deal if it does. Alright, then I'm going to give that a little dry. And I'm going to remove the mask. I'm going to give it a little bit of a dry. Yeah, the question in the chat was I freezing off and on? And it may be doing that. I think I have an adjustment that needs to be made. But as I said earlier, my technical staff who lives in California is involved in some meetings this week. So I'm flying solo today. Flying solo. All right, so I'm going to put the mask back on, and I'm going to do the same thing, but this time I'm going to use the dark green. Just for a little bit of variety. Okay, so again, holding the mask. And I test it on my palette. That way I can get rid of the big splots. Hi, Sarah. We got Sarah's and Josie's and all kinds of people with the similar or same names today. That's great. Okay, good enough. Okay, I'm going to lift off my mask and then dry the darker green spots. Some of you that were here at one of the other streams when our son was home got to see, gave you a preview of what I'm looking at. In front of me I have a PC, a Mac, and 4 monitors, a sound system which has 2 pieces of equipment, and 4 cameras. There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. Okay, it doesn't take very long for the splots to dry. And of course, you don't have to do splots if you don't like splots, but I like them, so I'm going to do them. And then just to kind of frame it out, I'm going to use some black ink. Could use whatever color you want. I'm going to use black because the ink work is in black. So I'm using Archival Ink. Could be whatever kind of ink you want. And then I'm just going to ink the edges. But as I said earlier, in case you missed it, these cards came from the post office, and they're just black ink drawings. It's not watercolor paper, it's cardstock, which is why it wants to curl and do all that stuff. Doesn't bother me a whole lot, because I will do something to get the curl out of it later. So I'm just going around the edge in case I slopped any paint or splatters or anything on the back. Okay, so here is our little card so far. And then this says Vintage Rose and has a heart on it, but I'm going to change that by using these big chat stickers. Listen, Rain, he better be good to me because he made me do this. He made me. Okay, so I'm going to choose a word that is maybe long enough to go over that. Let's see. I believe it is. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to go over that word that's there. It says grateful, which I am. Hey, Janet. And then I have a Pitt pen. And I'm just going around the edge of it just to bring it out a little bit. And then, of course, you could doodle, designs in the background or, any other kind of thing that you want to do. But we're going to call it good. So that's how you paint. That's how you paint with chalks and seal them in there so they don't come off. Yeah, Janet wonders if I'm going to start sending cards because she thought maybe the world had tilted on its axis. It does. It would seem that way, wouldn't it? Okay, so we'll turn it around this way because this is how I think this card is prettiest done on the, where it flips up this way. You could do it any way you want, but there's the red one, there's the red and yellow one, and then the other image that comes with that packet is the tulip. So this tulip was done, it's just the plain black ink drawing, and the colors that I used to create the tulip, I used exactly the same greens that I showed you earlier for the leaves. So those are the same greens, the same dark and light green here. to do the tulip, I used this orange, or as my son used to call it, orange. I used this orange for the darker spots, and I used this yellow for the lighter spots to create the colors on the tulip. So, thanks everybody. And then of course you could, pick out one of your, I have lots of floral stamps in my collection of stuff, and so it would be pretty easy to pick out a floral stamp and add some stamping to the envelope, and I could even add a little bit more of the chalking and the glazing and so forth to do that. Okay, so I'm glad you enjoyed it. Anybody have any questions before I take off? It's going to be a bit of a short stream today. It's just been a long week, so I'm gonna probably bow out a little early today. So if you have any questions, pop them in the chat real quickly. Again, thanks to Eileen McInnes for jogging my memory about using pastel chalks this way, and yeah, that was pretty much fun to get reacquainted with that technique that I'd forgotten all about. Okay, I guess I don't see any questions in the chat, so I'm gonna go. And again, I want to thank you all for joining me today and just hanging out, and I will be back here next week, same time. Thanks everybody, and I will see you next week for more Drama Free Friday. So I'll see you then. Bye.